Hey guys, this video is going to be on development, so let's get started. So impacts of cities on the environment. Inputs include food, water, energy, and other resources we need to survive. Outputs include sewage, waste, and pollution. Ecological footprint is the amount of land or sea required to provide the inputs and get rid of the outputs. A sustainable community is one that has a well-integrated transport system, equality, diversity, safety, well-run government, rights, green spaces, public transports, and lots of services. So what makes East Village a sustainable community? It has the green roofs, lots of green spaces, 10 hectares. It has affordable housing. It has a well-connected transport, including the Stratford International Station. It has a car parks. It has the modern high-density apartments, as well as the public services, for example, schools. Green spaces in East Village include the 10 hectares of green space, as well as the orchard and the children's play spaces and the shared allotments, which obviously have private gardens. How efficient is East Village? Well, it uses 50% less water because it uses the system where the green roofs collect the water. The one that surface runoffs goes onto rivers where there's or like a small lake where natural filtration occurs, and then it gets pumped back into buildings. We also have it's 30% more efficient in energy because it uses the CHP, combined heat and power system, that uses so the electricity that's generated also produces heat, and that heat is used to heat the water, so less boilers are used. Bristol has a cycle strategy. Again, cycling improves health benefits, less congestion and less traffic, more safe for the public. Other transport strategies include 20-mile-per-hour speed limit, Metro West and Metro Bus, those are the rapid bus transits, as well as the 3 parks and rides, so you park your car and you could get a cycle. Development is obviously how they're growing economically and technologically, and GNI is a gross national income, and is the amount of goods and services within a country as well as outside. Per capita is just divide that by the population. World map of development, so the brown line divides the north and the south. So north is more developed and HRCs, whereas the south are LICs. However, Australia is in the south, but it's a HRC, so it doesn't take in consideration that. It doesn't take into consideration that Africa has more NEEs than LICs, and also the fact that China is now one of the world's largest economies. So again, time has changed. It's hard to measure economic data because number one, conversions can vary. Number two, people might be lying about their income, and number three, it's hard to collect sometimes. HDI is a Human Development Index. It takes into consideration GNI, life expectancy, and literacy rate, so again, it's less misleading. DTMs are high birth, high death in LICs, for example, Kenya and the tribes. So high birth because more labour work and more fertility, less contraception. High death because less healthcare. Then you go to LICs, HICs such as the UK and Germany, and these have low birth because more quality, high quality of life, and low death because of better healthcare services. Rapid population growth impacts include environmental degrading, more intense farming methods, overgrazing, etc., leading to soil erosion. We have lower income and high unemployment, and lower quality of life as well. Uneven development reasons include colonization, war, and conflict. Physical factors and economic factors include being in debt, having natural hazards commonly, being landlocked, having poor climate, poor soil, or relying on primary good production as well. Uneven development consequences, so countries might have better wealth or better health, and also international migration, people looking for a better quality of life, leading to brain drain. However, the positive is remittances, so people move to HRCs and send money back home. How does investment by TNCs help NEEs? So TNCs are transnational corporations. They're basically companies that are in more than one country, for example, Sony and Apple, and they have this thing called FDI, so foreign direct investment, and they invest money into a country or a city, and this increases their wealth. This is known as a multiplier effect. Transnational corporations companies, sorry, they look for cheap labour, new market, and places where there's low transport costs and low import taxes. International aid is given in various forms: money, aid, equipment, and is normally given to HSC, to LIC. There's economic development aid, so large projects are funded, as well as social and political aid, so Google's one laptop per child policy, etc. However, it does lead to corruption by the government, and aid doesn't necessarily reach where it needs to be. For example, the government can take it, as well as the fact that you become dependent on it, so when aid stops, the development can stop and the projects can stop. Intermediate technology is just helping LICs reach their development goals, for example, using sustainable energy and local resources. Fair trade is where the farmer gets a fair amount of money for what he's produced. This allows him to obviously send his children to school, afford better healthcare, and obviously the disadvantages is that people might not be willing to spend enough money on fair trade products because it's often more expensive, and also the fact that the money might be leaked and may not reach the farmer. Debt is when you can't repay the money back. Debt relief is where the debt is cancelled, normally by a HIC, and maybe like some the money can be invested somewhere else, for example in conservation and protecting green spaces. Microfinance loans are small loans given to farmers. For example, they might buy fertilizers. This allows them to increase their crop yield, and this means they could sell it for they could sell their surplus as well as to feed their families. They sell it for their surplus for profit, therefore they can afford healthcare, services, education. So in the long term it leads to a higher literacy rate. However, it is small scale, but it's not free loans, it has to be repaid, so it allows the farmer to become independent. So that was all of development done.